FortuneBuilders.tv.
So many times in the different markets that we work in, an investor has a little bit of experience in foundations, or they just go ahead and repair the foundation and they don't get any documentation, and they go to sell the house and the buyer says, well, where's a report that shows that you fixed the house? And they didn't get one. So now they're scrambling trying to get a report for something that's already been done. An engineer doesn't want to sign off because they didn't see it being done, so you got to open up things. It's a nightmare. Do it right from the beginning and you'll have way less problems. And if you do it right, you won't have any problems. And you know, you can't guarantee that it's never going to happen again, meaning what happened in the foundation, but what you can do is you can improve the problems that caused it and fix it properly and have documentation of that. And that's, in our experience and the properties that we've done, that's enough to make a buyer feel comfortable when you document it right, fix it right, important, and they're going to feel comfortable with that process. So a couple of key points there that I hope you got. Key, you got to have good people on your team, and you got to document the process right. Now, you know, talking about, well, how do I estimate repairs? Well, that's a topic for another show. Really, it goes to falling back on your specialist, right? I can go through and I can estimate pretty well what it's going to cost, and some of you may be able to do the same, some of you may not. So that's why you got to have your contractor, a good contractor, to be able to go in and estimate for you. For example, today we're writing an offer on a property that has foundation problems, and I wasn't able to go to the property, and more importantly, I'd rather have the person that's going to do the work go. So we sent our contractor that does our foundation repairs to the house, gave us an estimate, and we actually had an estimate in hand from the listing agent, and it was a $35,000 estimate. Well, my contractor gave us a range of between $10,000 and $20,000 to do the same work, depending on what our engineer is going to want done there. So we just saved ourselves potentially almost $20,000 on that job, and that can free up a lot of room to go and get that property under contract. It's very important. All right, so I can go on, but I'm going to keep the slab on grade topic to those points. All right, and if you have more questions, feel free to write in the comment section below, and we'll see if we can get the next show around that. But what I want to do now, of course, is get into our deal or no deal segment.
Deal or no deal?
Okay, so in our deal or no deal segment, what I want to do is I want to talk about Karate Kid 1 versus Karate Kid 2, and which is a better... I was going to try to actually do that with a straight face, but I couldn't. Actually, Karate Kid 1's a fantastic movie. Karate Kid 2, when they went to Okinawa, I don't know, I wasn't really feeling it. And then they did a Karate Kid 3, which I don't even remember where they went, but all I know is I saw the original Karate Kid the other day. Fantastic movie, a lot of lessons to be learned there. You know, wax on, wax off, paint the fence, you know, sand the deck. I forget what Mr. Miyagi said, but good lessons. But truthfully, in the deal or no deal segment, I want to talk about a particular property that we sold last year that had major foundation problems. I want to quickly talk about the numbers and what made it a deal or not a deal. The first time I saw this property, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 2,200 square foot ranch in East County, San Diego. It was originally listed for $334,000. Now the ARV of the property was $499,000. Let's call it $500,000. $336,000 list price, ARV of $500,000, and the initial, they actually had a repair estimate from a contractor, was $100,000, okay, for work to be done on it. That was before you even upgraded the existing house. If you add up those numbers, you're going to very quickly realize that, let's just say the house needed $50,000 on the inside, $150,000 in repair. If you bought the house for $336,000, you add those numbers up, that ain't a deal, right? So that's something very quickly on the numbers that wasn't a deal. But now where we can try to start to make a deal out of one that's not there is knowing that for that scope of work for the foundation, because you found the right team, you can get that done for a lot less. What's a lot less? Well, maybe $20,000 for the same amount of work. And that's really the range I talked about earlier on some of these jobs. And it actually is the range on this particular property. This is a scope of work for that property that I'm talking about. So that's the first time I saw it. And now even at those numbers, I knew I could get the rehab done for less and the foundation done for less. $336,000 was too much to pay for the amount of work needed. So I let the property sit. It was an REO, and 2 months later, it came back out on the market, or it got a price reduction of $200 to $279,000. Still not a deal. Now when I first saw it at 336, I offered 220. It got dropped to 279. I offered 220 again. They said no. 2 months later, right? So this is 4 months from the first time I saw it. They dropped the price again to $237,000. So now we're really close to what I originally offered. And why did it keep coming down in price? Well, first off, the bank had it listed too high. Secondly, it had foundation problems, so a retail buyer isn't going to be able to buy that house. Thirdly, an investor gets in over their head and realizes that they can't fix what's there because they don't know the same information that we're talking about here. Falls out of contract, and every time it falls out of contract, the bank gets more motivated and they want to sell the property, drop the price. So at 239 or 237, I think it was, we're really close. So now I'm looking at, okay, can I come up to that number and make this thing work? And in that time frame, since I first saw it, I had our contractor go by, our structure engineer go by because the house is vacant, and I get concrete numbers. So I know I can get this foundation done for $25,000. Almost the same scope of work that another foundation company that specializes in repairs was going to charge $100,000 for. $75,000 difference, right? So now I realize with the rest of the repairs in the house of about $55,000 that I can come up a little bit on my 220 price. So now with at a 234 purchase price with $80,000 in repairs and an ARV, same ARV of $499 on a competitive sales price, that's a deal.
Deal.
Big time deal. And actually a property that we bought, renovated, and sold last year and made, is that Daniel's son calling? Is that Ralph Macchio calling directly from Hollywood to let me know how my hair's looking? I couldn't have timed that any better. Actually, he hung up, so it may not have been Daniel's son. So deal or no deal on that second go around, $234,000 purchase, $80,000 in repair, $499 ARV, big time deal. And we actually bought, fixed, and sold that property, and it's one of our property portfolio case studies that our rehab students get at the boot camp. We made $147,000 net profit. $147,000 net profit on that deal. So definitely a big time deal. But initially when it came out, the price that it was listed at and the repair estimate that they had thrown in front of us was not a deal. But that repair estimate did help us significantly because it scared a lot of people away. It also the bank was concerned because that's a big number for someone to tackle. Now I didn't let them know that I can get the work done for a lot less. Of course not. That's just good common negotiation. But that big number of $100,000 helped us, and that you'll see that pretty typically when you deal with these bigger issue problems. And foundations is one of the biggest issues you'll come across when it comes to repairs.
Quote of the week.
So in our quote of the week, really short and simple today, and the thought that's been in my mind the last few days is speak your truth. Right? I don't know where exactly that quote came from, or if it is a quote from someone famous or not famous. What I do know is my coach that I work with on a regular basis, we coach, I do weekly check-ins with, and we get on the phone once, sometimes twice a month. My personal coach in business and outside of business, he has been challenging me to speak my truth, and I challenge you to do the same. Meaning, don't hold things in if it's something that is going to fester inside of you and bother you. You got to get things out in the open. Now, I'm not saying be rude or be cuss someone out or whatever that means, but if you got something you want to say and it's important to you, you got to get comfortable saying it. So speak your truth. It's very important. I know it's been important for me. Get out there, find some good deals, and give us some feedback on the shows that you want to see, and we'll see you on the next show.